This is Surf. Hope you're doing well. Before I go on, all praise and glory goes to the Most High, Prime Creator, forever, ever, to the Creator of the chosen people, the children of the light. Now I will let you hear a piece from a video from Natural by Law. Awesome channel, awesome content, all about the Most High. And this is a long video, but I will let you hear a piece, and you should then by yourself decide if you want to dig further and understand more. Let's go.
We're going to get into these, into some things. I want to highlight on this Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 4. And it goes, "And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire, enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings, and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass." And keep in mind that the burnished brass is no other than copper. And we always like to refresh the memories of those, especially if this is your first time, that when you look into the 1828 version of the Webster's Dictionary and you search the term American, it tells you that the Americans were the copper-colored races, the Aboriginals, found here by the European. Alright, we're talking about the original Maroocans. Alright, it says, "And they had the hands of a man under their wings on the 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, and they 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward. Whither the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his 4 faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of beryl, and they 4 had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went up upon their 4 sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them 4. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and those stood, these stood. And when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. The spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of a terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two which covered on this side, and every one had two which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they laid down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood, and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne, the likeness as the appearance of a man upon it. And I saw the color of amber as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire. It had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Most High. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake, or spoke. Alright? So I want you to keep this in mind, in the details. Alright? In the details of such. The living creatures which had the four faces, and how the spirit of the creature was within the will. And one face was a man, one face was a lion, one face was an ox. And what was the other one? An eagle. Alright? Keep this in mind. It says, as the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. Burning coals of fire. So if you remember from the last drop, we was talking a lot about, burning, that of the ether, which means to burn, as you are the Eatheropean, the ether face. And we're going to dig into it. So let's go. Peace, peace to the real ones. Alright, so here we have some images of burning coal. Alright. Burning coal. And, you already know what color coal is. So this burning coal with the fire attached, the embers, the ambers. Right? It said that the four creatures resemble something like this. Alright. Burning coal. And mind you, from part 2, we were digging on the ether. Right? So let the ether, replay in your mind. Also, when we're talking about the wills, let's get back. Alright, the will. When we was digging on this topic inside the ether over at 432thedrop.com, I was saying that, I wanted the listener to envision chakras. And I still want, those who are paying attention, following along, to envision chakras. Now, as we get back to this, keep in mind the different codes, right? And the burning of such. And how it said that the creatures had feet of brass or copper. Alright, and we're just talking about you, never referring to that copper. We're just talking about the touchiness. I mean, this stuff is some heavy-ish, but it's coded. It's coded in the esoteric, which is the hidden. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next. Now, I started off with the Merkaba. Alright. The Merkaba is what we were looking at in that presentation where they had the humming going on. I know some folks that was probably, laughing at that shit. It's cool. We ignore the tiny vibrations. But it says the noun Merkaba, a thing to ride in, cart. Thing to ride in or a cart. With the general meaning to ride. The word chariot is found 44 times. Alright. The word chariot is found 44 times. Now keep this in mind as we continue to build on this. I want chariot to stay in your mind. A thing to ride in and of the sort. Because when we go ahead and break down these words like we always do, it's going to come back full circle. Also, the fact that, it had the face of a man, a lion, ox, an eagle, or so-called vulture. Right? They were known as the living creatures. Now, the so-called Israelis or the Jewish folks of today wouldn't want you to think that these were, so-called Elohim. Allahim, they wouldn't want you to refer to them as that or so-called UFOs or aliens. But I want you to keep in mind that the fact that they were the same color as brass, copper color, that they look like burning coal. Okay? Burning coal. This is why this stuff is esoterically taught and studied, because they don't want you breaking down the deeper meaning behind this. This is all allegorical, but at the same time it provides a certain picture, a distinct picture, once you have the understanding. And the Most High only provides that to a few. So I want you to keep this in mind as we're talking about these different beings. Alright? And I want to jump down here because it says the Bible later makes mention of a third type of angel found in the Merkaba. Alright? Called Seraphim. Alright? The Seraphim, which means burning angels. These angels appear like flashes of fire, continuously ascending and descending. The script said that they were moving up and down, right? That they were a will within the will. Right. Oh man, where we go? Oh, we're gonna get that right back. We wasn't supposed to do that. They trying to get us. Alright, so and they sparkle like the color of burnished copper. Alright? And they went in all directions, but also straight forward. Alright? Straight forward. And their heads never turn. Alright, damn, why we keep doing it, Jack? Let's get it back. One more game. Shalaki to the real ones. And it says that their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps, it went up and down among the living creatures. Alright? And it also said that the spirit of the living creatures was within the will. Alright, it says these seraphim angels powered the movement of the chariot. In the hierarchy of these angels, the seraphim are the highest, that is closest to the Most High, followed by the Hayat, which are followed by the Anaphim, the Ophanim. It says the chariot is in a constant state of motion, and the energy behind this movement runs accordingly to this hierarchy. Alright, so I want you guys to pay attention to that, because this is basically going to be the core of this breakdown, for this part 3. Because we're going to give you an insight to what these so-called angels look like. We're going to break down what they don't want you talking about. Alright, so as we move on to the next one, the Seraph, which means the burning one. Alright, and this should already sound familiar to you. This should already be ringing bells. But in case it doesn't, we're going to get it like we don't know what's going on. We're going to get it like it's the first time. Alright. So, let's see. And this is an interesting word right here. Alright. We're going to be digging on that in a little bit too. But basically, what we want to highlight, without spending too much time on bang, look, right here. It says in the second book of Enoch, 2 classes of the celestial beings are mentioned alongside the seraphim and the cherubim, known as the phoenixes. Alright? And they are a compound of brass or copper. Alright? Water serpent, which is a hydra. Brazen hydras are copper serpents. Okay, so these things are copper colored. These beings are copper colored. Just like, you, so-called Negro. Alright, the Seraph is a single version of one of these, I'm going to refer to them as etheric beings. Etheric beings. But the root of their name means the burning one, to burn. Alright? And we were reading that they go up and down where they are. And they have a fiery passion for doing the will of the Most High. Non-biblical sources sometimes call them dragons. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and keep it moving to the next one. Peace, peace. All right, so these are the 4 living creatures, or the living creatures, as we were reading about. And notice that the root word in their name, or, in the actual classification of them, is live. And I hope you're keeping track of all these words, because we're going to go ahead and break them down like I told you. We're going to kind of fly through this, because I don't want to spend too much time, on the Christianity, Judaism, and so be it, the different religions. This is not, to make anyone per se religious. Also know we got, a lot of super Indians. They don't like hearing this shit. But for those that like to skip detail, this is what I do this for, to bring out a treat and to show a connection back to what you think it is okay to ignore. There's wisdom in these words. There's wisdom in the script. And I'm just going to bring it out the way that I saw it, the way that it hit me, the way I was inspired to go ahead and do this drop. My jigger brought this out in a copper thread. Not the specific detail, but in whole, in general. Now notice that, we're talking about the Merkaba once again, and it's being referred to as a chariot. The scripts use the term will. So I like to make it interchangeable, especially when we're digging on chakras. Okay, because chakras is how you activate the Merkaba. And, we're going to go ahead and break that down too. But these living creatures were said to basically be a resemblance of what we want to refer to as the zodiac. Alright, and we're going to break that down later. I'm just giving you a rough summary, so when we go ahead and crash through all this, it won't be so off the wall. So we're going to go ahead and, break down this etymology like we always do. And let's get to it. So like we got in part 2, we discovered that the word day, alright, when we're dealing with daytime, when we're dealing with a day, means to burn. It means to shine. To burn, to shine. Okay, to burn, to shine. So you have these angels, these angelic beings, these entities, these energies that are said to be right up under the Most High, and they do the Most High's will. Your Ama and your Abba, your Hawa. They shine, right? They burn up, to burn. And the daytime is to burn. It is to shine. This is what we got in part 2, right? As the so-called Ethiopian. We were the Eatheropean, right? It says burn. Burn is to be on fire, consumed by fire, be inflamed with passion or desire, be ardent. To destroy something with fire, to expose the action of fire, roast, broil, toast, burn. Alright, to shine, glitter, sparkle, glow like fire. To burn, light. To kindle. That's very interesting. To kindle. Because isn't Kindle something that we use to read nowadays? Right? Amazon offers their version of books through Kindle. So even to read is to be on fire, which is interesting. Right? Because as the Eatheropean, as the copy color ones, you should love to read. This should be something within you. But they snatch that away from you. Why? Because they intend to keep you out the advancement of, this technological race. Right? They want to beat you in the race to everything, which is why they attach that word to everything. But to be on fire, meaning to be hot, to radiate heat. Radiate heat. Right? to be hot, to radiate heat, to burn, to radiate heat, radiation. Let's get to it, because we didn't come to waste no time. Radiate, spread in all directions from a point, to beam, shine, gleam, make beaming from radius, a beam of light, spoke of a will. See radius. Alright, and it said that, in the script, in Ezekiel chapter 1, that these beams gave off a beam of light. Alright, these seraphim gave off a light, a bright light. Right? Let's continue. Radius is a cross, a shaft, staff, stake, rod, spoke of a wheel, which is a ray of light, a single ray of light, a beam of light, radius of a circle of unknown origin. When you're doing mathematics, the radius of a circle, when you're talking about the circumference, and you have your radius, that is the middle point, right? When you use a compass, you take the pencil, and that starts off as your radius, and you move the pencil around to get your circumference, which is the perfect circle. You see how we breaking this down by using words? Y'all gonna have to get onto that Patreon so we can go ahead and break this down even smoother. Because I'm gonna be able to show you some visuals on the Patreon that I can't show you on this thing. But here we have the radius, the cross, the shaft. Alright? And when you think about a spoke of a wheel, the spoke is just one direction, okay? One burst of light in the sense, or a piece of wood. Whereas the wheel or the radius is in the center. Alright? A spoke shoots out from that center. So if you're, applying this to yourself as the Eatheropean, every natural man, every Adam from the autogenous soil is literally a spoke, a ray of the sun. Alright? Now, the true pagans, the ones that came to colonize, saw your attachment to the high science and deemed you as sun worshippers. But you were never worshiping the sun. You had the knowledge, the geometric knowledge, the sacred geometry, which is the mathematics and the science combined. Alright? Which is what spirituality is. Or the study of the soul, because we're talking about that of the sun. You come from that portal, that dimension they call the sun, which is why you burn up. And at the same time, as the Eatheropean, your so-called melanin is what protects you from burning up, literally. Okay, they deemed you as sun worshippers based off this information. The spoke is the radius of a wheel. Spoke of a wheel, radius. Okay, a large nail or a sharp point. You're supposed to be sharp, which is why, as brethren, as sisters of the tribe, as the conglomerate, the whole, we sharpen one another, right? We sharpen each other when exchanging such info, which is why I miss, coming to you guys and building, which is why we're here for part 3.
I hope this information have been useful to you and that they have opened more questions than you actually have gotten, that you have more questions than answers. Actually, there's a lot of stuff, very interesting. Much love and all praise and glory to the Most High.